Are you the kind who laughs when a flag rope clicks in the wind? They mocked the old Air Force veteran said. His faded tattoo was just ink, not honor, and the hanger went still. But when the light shifted across his arm, that mark glowed like a memory waking up. The air hummed heartbeat slow, between the hiss of coffee and the echo of a name unspoken. Still, he didn't answer, just lifted his thermos under the flag's shadow and breathed once as if to say, quiet men leave echoes too. The hangar doors were propped open to the autumn light, that soft amber that makes aluminum look almost kind. Folding chairs filled the floor, coffee urns steaming near the flag. Veterans Day in Oak Ridge, Texas, warm enough for short sleeves, solemn enough for quiet shoes on concrete. Cole Avery stood near the back, hands clasped behind him. His sleeve rode up when he reached for his thermos, revealing the faded ink on his forearm, a winged insignia half erased by years and sunlight. It's just a tattoo, man, not a medal, someone said, half laughing, half nervous. Another voice joined louder. Guess he ran out of space for glory. The small group chuckled. Their laughter wasn't cruel, just thoughtless, the kind that floats until it hits someone who doesn't answer. Cole didn't flinch. He set the thermos down, jaw tight, but calm eyes on the flag at the front. The cloth lifted and fell in the slow current of air from the open door. He didn't defend himself. He didn't need to. A flag snapped once, crisp as a reprimand. The sound carried further than the laughter. Hey, leave it, a young voice murmured from the aisle. Eli Tron, an airman barely 24, had paused mid-stride with a stack of folding programs in his hands. His gaze stayed on the older man, the straight spine, the stillness. Something about that silence looked heavier than pride. Cole took a slow breath, eyes tracing the rafters, then the banner that read Quiet Valor Ceremony. He exhaled through his nose, almost a sigh, almost a prayer. A woman at the coffee table tried to soften the air. You boys don't know the kind of ink they used back then, she said. It might have outlasted the base itself. The laughter died, replaced by the clink of mugs and a cough. Then came the briefest smile from Cole, small private, gone in a blink, as if he forgave them all at once. The thermos hissed when he twisted the cap. Steam rose, catching the late-day sun. Silent beat flag snap. Thermos clink. Light dust in air. From the podium, a volunteer called Mr. Avery. You're next for registration. Cole nodded and started forward. The voices behind him lowered. Still think it's just ink, one whispered. Respect isn't worn, the first man muttered back, uneasy. Now it's earned. The words hung in the air longer than intended. Half challenge, half apology. Eli watched the exchange, curiosity tightening his chest. He didn't know the story, but he could tell the old man carried one. Some marks he thought were carved deeper than skin. Cole signed his name, the pen scratching quietly across the form. The hangar's PA crackled, announcing the next speaker. Applause rippled through metal beams and coffee steam. Outside, a gust lifted a swirl of dust and the faint scent of jet fuel. The flag stretched wide again, light pouring through its red stripes. Cliff 90. Eli looked back once more. The veteran hadn't moved. The sun cut across the tattoo, turning the faded lines gold. He thought, I'm going to find out what that means. The next morning smelled of jet fuel and toast. The base cafe was small, half diner and half supply room, miracle metal chairs, formica tables, and a jukebox that hadn't changed songs since 1984. Outside flags flapped against the wind that came off the runway. Cole Avery sat alone near the window, fingers wrapped around a mug of black coffee gone cold. His jacket collar hid the edge of the tattoo, the way habit hides an old scar. The paper in front of him was blank except for a ring of condensation. "Morning, sir," a voice said. Eli Tran stood there, posture halfway between salute and apology. "Didn't mean to bother you. Just wanted to say sorry about yesterday." Some of the guys Cole didn't look up. No harm done. They shouldn't have laughed. He finally raised his eyes, steady brown-gray like the tarmac after rain. "They're young. Youth thinks silence means weakness." Eli hesitated, then set something on the table. A small brass coin, edges worn smooth. The emblem engraved in its center matched the faded lines on Cole's arm. Cole's brow lifted. "Where'd you get that?" "Found it in the supply case when I checked inventory. Guess it got stuck there for decades." Cole turned the coin between his fingers. The metal was warm from Eli's palm. The same winged insignia, 2 feathers broken, 1 intact. A promise etched in brass. Steam rose between them as the waitress refilled both mugs. Silent beat, the hiss of the pot. The jukebox hum, someone coughing softly by the door. "Guess the coffee aged better than I did," Cole said, the corner of his mouth tugging upward. Eli laughed, quiet and surprised. "You served under the 119th, didn't you?" "Long time ago. What happened to them?" Cole looked through the window, where an old hangar gleamed dull silver in the sun. "They finished what they were sent for. Some of us came back. Some didn't." The jukebox shifted tracks, Elvis fading into static, then a choir version of Amazing Grace. Eli leaned in, voice lower. "What if it's not a tattoo? It's a promise." Cole's hand stilled around the coin. For a breath, the noise in the room fell away. Even the coffee pot seemed to pause. He set the coin down carefully, lining its emblem to face the window light. "You talk like a man older than 24. "My dad was in maintenance too," Eli said. "Said every mark on your hands tells a story about what you kept running." Cole nodded, eyes softening. "Your father's right. Machines quit when you stop listening. People too." Outside, a jet engine coughed alive, low, rhythmic, like a heartbeat restarting. Eye rest marker. Then the steam curled again between them. Cole slid the coin back toward him. "Keep it, kid. You'll know when to hand it off." Eli started to protest, but the older man was already standing, cap in hand. "See you around," Sir Cole's answer came, gentle, carried under the clatter of cups. "Maybe." As he left, the bell above the door rang once and fell quiet. Eli looked down at the coin, catching a stripe of sunlight, same symbol, same weight as yesterday's laughter, now turned to curiosity. He pocketed it, whispering, "Promise, huh? Cliff 85S." He glanced through the cafe window. Cole was already halfway across the lot, shoulders straight, the morning wind tugging at his sleeve, just enough to flash the ink that started it all. The maintenance locker room smelled of oil and dusted aluminum, the same scent that could outlive a war. Rows of metal doors rattled softly in the wind that seeped through the vents. Morning light came thin and silver, carrying specks of dust that drifted like slow-falling snow. Cole Avery set his cap on the bench and began clearing the top shelf of his locker. A folded towel, a cracked pair of goggles, an envelope yellowed at the edges. He hadn't seen that envelope in years. The handwriting, tight, deliberate, belonged to Sergeant Harlan Price, his wingman, who never made it back. He brushed his thumb across the crease. The paper felt like dry skin. Inside lay a single patch, the same winged insignia that once glowed bright on their flight suits. Beneath it, one line in blue ink: "You were our compass in the storm." Cole swallowed, shoulders stiffening. Silent beat. The hum of air vents, the click of a dripping faucet. Sir Eli's voice echoed from the doorway. He was holding a clipboard, half pretending he had a reason to be there. Cole folded the letter before answering. "Morning. Didn't mean to intrude. You're fine." Eli nodded toward the patch. "That from your old unit?" Cole hesitated. "Yeah. They wrote to you before the last run." His voice stayed level, but the words landed heavy. "We called it the storm run. Only one jet came home." Eli stepped closer, the soles of his boots whispering against the floor. "You kept the letter all this time," Cole gave a faint smile. "Some things keep you better than you keep them." A minute of air passed between them. The patch caught the light, one feather glinting gold, one broken. Eli spoke again, quieter. "Why do we need proof for loyalty? If you know what you did, isn't that enough?" Cole looked up, his eyes steady but softer than before. "It should be. But proof isn't for the one who served. It's for the ones who come after." Eli blinked, trying to catch the meaning. "So they'll believe it happened, so they'll remember how it felt." Cole said, "Loyalty fades fast if it's only told, not shown." I rest marker. Still, he said nothing. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was respectful, the way hangars sometimes pause before an engine test. Eli cleared his throat. "They're adding names to the memorial this week. Yours should be there." Cole shook his head. "I wasn't the one who fell." "But you're still carrying the map." That drew a laugh from Cole, low and almost proud. "Maybe just the edges of it." He refolded the letter, slid the patch back inside, and closed the locker door with a metallic sigh. The sound rang through the empty room like a closing hymn. Eli watched him for a long second, then said, "If you ever want someone to help you polish that coin again, I'll bring the cloth." Cole's reply came after a pause. "You keep asking the right questions, son." "That's the cloth." Dust drifted once more in the vent's breath. Cliff 85S. Cole rested his hand on the locker handle, thinking of Harlan's handwriting of a storm still circling somewhere above the clouds, and of the young man behind him, steady, curious, and a mirror of the boy he once was. The main hangar gleamed like a cathedral of metal and memory. Rows of folding chairs faced the runway doors, open wide to the November air. Banners hung from the rafters, blue, white, and faded gold. A brass band rehearsed near the podium, each note bouncing against concrete walls. Cole Avery adjusted a coil of rope at the base of the flagpole, his sleeve pushed high for once. The tattoo on his forearm caught the morning light, no longer hidden, every line of the winged insignia clear. The younger airmen nearby paused in their chatter. The same men who'd laughed days ago said nothing now. I's front gentleman barked a voice from the hangar doors. General Rains entered, clipboard in hand, his uniform pressed so sharp it could have cut sunlight. Every conversation died. The band halted mid-bar. He moved slowly down the aisle, eyes cataloging everything, flags, chairs, faces. Cole straightened, steady under the inspection. The general's gaze passed him, then drifted back. He stopped mid-step. The clipboard sagged in his grip. The hangar filled with a strange hush, that kind born of recognition before words arrive. The general blinked once, twice, then took a breath that trembled. "That mark," he said quietly, the words barely finding sound. "That mark saved my life." No one moved. The brass players held their instruments halfway to their lips. Eli, standing near the back, felt his chest tighten. He'd expected a salute, not silence. Cole's voice came low. Sir Rains set the clipboard on a chair, the pen sliding free, clattering to the floor. The sound echoed like a gavel. Operation Solstice, 1983, the general said. Downed transport. I was pinned in the wreckage. They said a ghost unit pulled us out before the fire reached the tanks. He stepped closer. I never knew their names. Only saw the insignia wings split by light. Cole stood taller, the sun striping his sleeve. Most of us didn't sign our names, sir. The mission was sealed. The general nodded slowly, throat working. And you, I was there, Cole said simply. Rains drew a breath heavy and formal. Then every parade I've ever walked was because you could still stand. SM Lockfoot's line. He was slammed by protocol, but stood taller for it. The old hierarchy cracked in that single sentence. Medals meant less than memory. The general turned toward the watching airmen. Gentlemen, you're looking at one of the quiet reasons we made it home. The band leader swallowed, then raised his baton again. A single trumpet note lifted unsure at first, then sure. Applause followed soft growing, then full. Silent beat, only the flag rustled, breathing audible. Eli exhaled, eyes shining. The camera of his mind caught at all the sleeve, the mark the general frozen mid-salute. Cole didn't smile. He only looked upward where the rafters met light. Voice-over shorts, moment number 3. Some marks aren't meant to fade. The applause rolled like distant thunder, warm and cleansing. Cole lifted his cap in quiet acknowledgement, not triumph. The laughter from the first day felt years away. What once embarrassed him had turned into the nation's proof of grace. The sun rose over Oak Ridge Square, striking the church steeple first, then the rows of white folding chairs set before the bandstand. Someone had polished the brass rail until it mirrored the morning. The choir, dressed in navy and cream, rehearsed the final verse of America the Beautiful, while children chased bubbles near the steps. Cole Avery arrived early, hands in his jacket pockets. The air carried that mix of coffee hymn and cut grass that belonged only to small-town ceremonies. He nodded to Mary Hill, the town's quiet general of logistics and kindness. Her clipboard was already half full of names and notes. "Morning, Cole," she said, her tone half order, half embrace. "You sure you're ready for this spotlight?" "Spotlight's too bright for old paint," he said, and she laughed softly. Behind the stage, a cloth covered the new bronze plaque mounted to the square's stone wall. The crowd that gathered now included faces from the hangar, the same ones who had once chuckled at the faded tattoo. They stood straighter today, more aware of how easily time turns lessons into memorials. Eli Tran stood among them, uniform crisp, the coin resting in his pocket. Mary stepped to the microphone, her voice smooth as warm syrup. "We're here to honor those who served quietly, who carried valor not in their noise but in their steadiness." She looked at Cole. "Some of us carry that so quietly we almost miss it." A ripple moved through the audience, not applause but a murmur of understanding. Cole kept his gaze on the flag beside the plaque. His cap stayed tucked under his arm. When the choir began again, their voices blended into the air, low-layered, full of the kind of sincerity that doesn't try to impress anyone. Silent beat. Choir hum. Sunlight through stained glass reflections from the church window. Eli stepped forward and pulled the cover from the plaque. The sunlight caught the engraved insignia, the same winged emblem that had lived on Cole's arm on the coin in the letter. Beneath it, the inscription read, "Quiet valor for those who served without being seen." Applause swelled gently. No cheering, just warmth. Mary gestured for Cole to join her. "You don't have to say much, dear. Just let us say thank you." Cole took a small breath and faced the crowd. "I'm no different than the ones whose names aren't on this wall. We just did our jobs. Some of us came home. Some stayed behind to remind us what home means." Eli nodded, jaw tight with emotion. Cole looked at him and added, "If this plaque says anything, it ought to say that loyalty still fits even when the uniform doesn't." A soft chuckle rippled through the front row. Someone whispered, "Amen." The choir rose into a brighter verse, the sound climbing up the steeple. Children stopped to listen. An old man saluted. "I rest marker," then the wind stirred the flag again. Cole stepped back, watching the reflections of red, white, and gold flicker across the plaque's surface. He didn't need the applause. Justice, he realized, wasn't about clearing names. It was about giving them back their weight. The library smelled of old paper and lemon polish. Morning light streamed through high windows, falling across the new memorial corner, where the plaque, the coin, and a framed letter now rested beneath a small flag. The clock above the desk ticked in calm rhythm, each second a soft echo. Eli Tran adjusted the microphone on the portable radio set. The local station had sent a single engineer, gray-haired patient, familiar with feedback hiss. Chairs filled the foyer. The town choir hummed low, waiting for their cue. Cole Avery sat near the front sleeve, rolled up without hesitation this time. The tattoo, those wings split by light, caught the glow from the flag's reflection. The same mark once mocked in the hangar now felt like it belonged to everyone in the room. Eli tapped the mic. "Testing 1, 2. The feedback whined, then settled. "All right, folks. Today we read a letter found in a locker written by Sergeant Harlan Price to his commanding officer. The words were never broadcast. Until now." Cole's hands rested on his knees. His thumb brushed the tattoo, slow, reverent. Eli unfolded the letter. His voice, usually fast and unsure, slowed to a rhythm that fit the room. "You were our compass in the storm." He read the paper, trembling just slightly. "When others lost direction, you held steady. We followed your silence more than your orders." A rustle of movement passed through the crowd. Mary Hill pressed a hand to her chest. Eli continued. "If I don't make it home, tell them the mark means freedom earned in quiet hands." He paused, looking toward Cole. "Some marks never fade for a reason." Silent beat clock tick plus faint choir hum. Cole stood motion slow but sure. The tattoo glimmered in the filtered sunlight. "That was Harlan," he said softly. "He was 23. Thought silence was weakness till the day it saved him." A few people wiped at their eyes. The radio engineer gave a subtle thumbs up, the broadcast live and clear. Eli folded the letter again, setting it beside the framed patch and coin beneath the plaque. "Sir," he said quietly, "we're naming this corner after your unit, the Quiet Valor Flight." Cole smiled, that same near-invisible one he'd given in the hangar days ago. "Make sure the names stay smaller than the lessons." Laughter drifted warm and soft. The choir began the closing verse, their harmony weaving through the smell of dust and old ink. Light poured through the stained glass, scattering color across Cole's sleeve. "I rest marker." Then the flag's reflection turned his arm to gold. Eli reached out a hand. Cole clasped it, the gesture steady weight of years past like a torch. "Guess the story came full circle," Eli murmured. Cole looked at the tattoo and smiled. "Some things freeze time for the right reason." The clock ticked once more, long enough for everyone to remember. The library stayed open late that night, its windows glowing like small lanterns in the fog. The framed letter and plaque caught the hum of the choir rehearsal, and the air smelled faintly of polish and paper. Cole sat beneath the flag's reflection, rolling his sleeve without thought. The tattoo shimmered against the light, proof turned gentle memory made visible. Still, he smiled as Eli read the last line on air, voice steady and young. You were our compass in the storm. Outside, the clock struck once, soft as a salute. The town square echoed with that single note, carrying across porches and kitchen radios, reminding everyone that quiet work endures longer than applause. Micro-echo. Some marks never fade, they just learn to shine softer. Kicker, if this story moved you, share it forward.